Hello, literature lovers. Today I am discussing some interesting facts related to literature, starting with what is epic, next, discussing few facts related to Wasteland. It's a very important work. We are aware of this very much how interesting and special Wasteland is. Next, talking about Old English, Middle English, the works related to at that period, and how special these works are. Starting with Paris the Pyramid. Next, talking about The Pearl, very special work. Next, talking about Hamlet, very special work. How special this work is. We are aware of this fact. Next, talking about the dividing of the periods, how they are related to it. Talking about the 4 of the modern days of a week, which are named after these gods. It's a very special fact. I like to mention it here. Talking about Wordsworth worked it about Blake on his death. It's a very important and interesting fact. Next, talking about the themes in William Blake's short poems, how much they are based on. Next, talking about Ode of Keats, the beauty, the facts related to it, how interesting and important they are whenever we talk about literature. Talking about Shelley's important work, very important work. Now comes George Eliot, who is the first English novelist who has shown tremendous psychological insight. Next, talking about Hemingway, Nobel laureate, and his famous work, Old Man and the Sea. It's a very heroic story, really heart touching. You must take part in it. It's really important. Talking about Keats again, some random facts, really helps in better understanding of literature. And Revive Us, another very important work by T.S. Eliot right now, Murder in the Cathedral. It is related to that murder of Thomas Becket, who was killed earlier. Talking about Sons and Lovers and Tom Jones, very pioneer work. Really very interesting. Talking about Plato and his work. Next comes avant-garde movement. Avant-garde movement is very special. Talking about it, not talking about Coleridge's very famous Biographia Literaria and how it really mattered. Talking about William Golding and his really very popular work, Lord of the Flies. Really very special work. Midsummer Night's Dream. It's a special work by William Shakespeare. Next comes canonization, such immortal lines by him. Talking about Charles Dickens and his works which really mattered a lot, the way they were portrayed. Next, talking about Thackeray's and how he studied his style in his works. All of them have really special. Thackeray's work. Next, talking about George Eliot's Adam Bede and Silas Marner, very special work, having this own style. Next, talking about Hardy and his imagination. His style is quite bold, artistic, picturesque. Talking about Jane Austen, how she really took a small segment of the society and portrayed the theme related to it, especially the loss of illusion and all the facts related to it. Next comes Goldsmith and his famous work. Vicar of Wakefield. Talking about Dickens, A Tale of Two Cities. You know, some other works related to it. Some detail about Thackeray too. Next comes David Copperfield. It's an autobiographical novel. Very special characters which really became pioneer. Talking about Hardy in detail again. Tess of the Abbeville and Jude the Obscure, both works are very special. Jude the Obscure is such a great work. Whenever I start studying it, reading it, it really marks a point. Pride and Prejudice is one of the famous works. It's really quite popular and really has a special place in everybody's heart. It's a very special term, late Victorians. It's asked so many times who were the members, what are the peculiar qualities of them. Talking about Middlemarch, another very important work. And here comes Emily Brond's Wuthering Heights. Very special work by her, her only novel, but one which really moved the world with that work. Next, talking about it in detail. Next, another fact related to Emily's work and Thackeray's work is given here. Charles Dickens, who is called the early first Victorian novelist. Interesting facts related to him are given here. Thackeray, another very special author. Vanity Fair. It's a book that really marked a point, talking how a portrayal of a woman is given in such a different manner. It's all provided here. Thackeray's style is quite special. It's always part of it. George Eliot's works really mark the point altogether. Charlotte Bronte is also the sister of, and her very special work, Jane Eyre, that really marked special point. All three sisters have done it in a great style. Next, talking about the detail of the work. The Egoist, it's a very special book, really enriching. Next, talking about Anthony Trollope, the theme that he used, the work he portrayed, all have a special recognition. Thomas Hardy's contribution is remarkable, no doubt about it. Especially the Wessex novels, the way it is portrayed. List of the works are endless, far from the madding crowd under a greenwood tree, the mayor of Casterbridge, return of the native. All works are very special. Especially Wessex being an imaginary place and portrayed in such a realistic manner. It's a countryside place. About which it is discussed. Pickwick Papers, another very special work. David Copperfield, Mill in the Flowers. Now comes the great work, The Moonstone. This work really marked a point. 1980s, dealing with the concrete problems. It's a special point for analysis. That's all for today. I hope you will definitely like it. Thank you.